I just think we need to reflect occasionally on the loneliness of people that don't want to talk about things, and the need sometimes to talk to them.
Hello, I'm Stephen Manderson, better known to some as Professor Green. Today I'm here at the offices of the Leader of the Opposition to record my podcast, Learning to Adult Slowly, which you can find on thebookerman.com. Today my guest is Jeremy Corbyn. Hello, how are you?
Doing?
How you doing?
How are you doing, Stephen?
Recording? Yeah, we are definitely recording. Sweet.
Is this thing on it just to make it less...
Just to get rid of the B's and P's.
Oh, I see.
Jeremy, how are you?
Great, lovely to see you.
Good to see you. So I thought we'd keep the topic today loosely around mental health, something that we both speak a lot about. So I guess we should start with what your first encounters with mental health were.
As a kid, growing up with the kind of language that was used against people with mental health conditions, places they call loony bin, things like that, that sort of language that was used, and the frequent use of the word mad about people when actually they were going through deep levels of stress. It's something that people don't want to talk about, particularly men don't want to talk about, and I think it is a problem that men don't talk to each other.
Where do you think that stems from?
There is this sort of bravado around boys in school that you've got to be tough. And being tough is apparently being, in those definitions, being uncaring and being aggressive to others. Whereas in reality, being strong as opposed to being tough is actually standing for what you believe in, but also being strong enough to care.
And probably self-care as well. It's an analogy I use it a lot because people always say to me, you know, you're hard, you know, you're tough, and I'm like, I'm not. There's a difference between being strong and being hard. As
you often pointed out in your work, it's the biggest killer of young males under 45 in our society. Particularly young men don't like to talk to each other about feelings.
Because often I think there's a lot of shame and embarrassment that comes with the feeling of needing help. Would you feel secure enough to seek out that help if you felt you needed it?
Yeah. I don't think anybody's above seeking help from somebody else.
Because you work in an incredibly, I would imagine, high-pressured job.
Oh, listen, that goes on.
I don't normally make assumptions, but you know.
It's that business of going to somebody and saying, I actually need help. And that's a big, big step.
And it's a step that a lot of people sadly don't get to, my dad included. He took his own life when I was 24, and he didn't ask for help. And I just wonder, you know, there was a lot of questions that I had after that happened. Obviously, why did he do it?
Did you ever think about anything he'd ever said to you or anything like that?
No, so we hadn't spoken for 6 years. He was always very in and out of my life. He wasn't a bad man, but he wasn't a great father. You know, he lost my namesake, my uncle Stephen, before I was born. He was 19. He was his best friend. Stephen's daughter later died 2 years before my dad took his own life. His brother took his own life. A year before he took his own life, his sister died of leukemia, and he was the last possible donor, and he wasn't suitable. And then the year that followed, he took his own life. And you kind of go, okay.
And did you get any support when he died?
No, not really. It's one of those things, you know, we talk about people not talking. Yeah, I didn't grow up in a household where we really spoke about what happened. Things happened, and we moved on. Yeah, I definitely think communication is key because it's not something that we do often talk about, and people internalising grief is a huge problem. You know, that was a contributor to my dad doing what he did. Yeah, I'd say music was quite cathartic for me, and I didn't find, you know, my ability to write songs until I was 18. And I found that as soon as I found a way to express myself and actually make sense of what was going on in my head, because when I started writing music, it was about what I was going through or where I was and what I saw or what had taken place in the past.
So I'm very keen that we should bring out the creative in young people as well, and so I'm very keen that we'd have a fixed, ring-fenced amount of money for each school for art, music, dance, so that would then be ensuring every child got to learn some musical instrument got to learn something about music because that helps them develop in so many other ways. Look, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can, definitely.
Look, I like what you do, and I really admire the way that you do it because you've actually changed a lot of people into thinking about mental health in a way they wouldn't otherwise do so. If you were in my position, hopefully we'll be in government, I'm determined that we'll do something very serious about mental health. What would you advise me to do?
I'd go back to what we were talking about before, and I think investing in our youth, making opportunity more equal, education more equal, and making sure that there's support in places where people need it the most.
That's a good thought. The other thing is that sense of awareness that we've all got to have. That sense of awareness that, hey, this person's actually, in a rather convoluted way, reaching out to me. It's having that self-awareness to be aware of others.
I agree. I think it's a societal problem. We always look at problems that affect certain areas of society as being a problem for that area of society, rather than looking at it as a problem for society on the whole.
Yeah.
Which it is.
Which it is. It's up to us to change it.